talking all about Flux. So this should be very interesting. Um, this is be a free for all, so please join in the conversation. We definitely would love to hear from everybody, and it's awesome to see what we're going to talk about tonight. It's going to be very interesting to see where this goes, and let's have fun with it. So let's get started. Three, two. Hey there, listeners, and welcome to an episode of Earth Station Who, and we are on Facebook Live at the same time. Hi, everybody! Let's wave. We're actually on video, so we actually have to pretend that we're interested in this episode. So let's try to be here. My name is Mike Faber. I am the host of the Earth Station Who podcast, and we got some great people with us tonight. Let's welcome our guests. Angela Pritchett's here.
Hi, everybody.
Herself. Hey, Angela.
Hi.
We can't hear you.
You can't hear me. What?
We all of a sudden we can't hear you.
I'm here.
Wow,
I can
Can
hear
you
you.
hear me? Can you hear me?
There you are. There you are. Weird.
That was just you. We could hear her.
Yeah.
I know. It was weird. All of a sudden
Hard
it went thing. We're doing this live, so this is what happens when we go live. How are you, Angela?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Good. It's been a long time, and and we also have Kirby Bartlett Sloan joining us. Welcome, Kirby.
Hi. Hey.
From the 20 Megabyte Doctor Who podcast.
Yes.
Yes, I remember the title of it. I've been listening to it long enough. I think, it's pretty
A lot of
awesome.
people leave off the Doctor Who part for some reason.
Oh, no, you guys are definitely a Doctor Who podcast, and
Yes.
it's been interesting to hear what you guys have been talking about, and it's gonna be interesting to hear what your thoughts are on this episode. And of course, as we've been doing all season long with the folks we've had joining us, we're not going to ask your full thoughts on the season and stuff because we're going to be getting into that tonight with everything. And so this is what this episode's about. We're going to be talking about Doctor Who Flux, the 6-part 13th season of Doctor Who. And if you haven't seen it, folks, we are going to spoil the hell out of it. So please, definitely check it out. And of course, we have our regulars with us. Of course, Mr. Mike Gordon is here.
Howdy.
Are you ready to get fluxed, my friend?
I feel so fluxed.
Okay. And Mary Ogle is here.
Hi, everybody. It is fantastic to be here.
It's wonderful to see you guys again. And you guys can actually see us. This is pretty darn awesome.
Yeah,
And
it's pretty scary.
We're currently up on Facebook Live, and we are through the Earth Station Who group. And in a minute or so, I'll share this with the Earth Station 1 group and the ESO Network group. So we'll probably get quite a few folks in joining us, and probably even post it up on my personal page. So if you guys want, you can do the same thing. And if you want to follow along, please do. We want comments from the Peanut Gallery. And also, as promised throughout the season, we have had guests on the show, and they've gotten back in touch with me, and they've given their ratings 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Boy, was this a big range, folks. This was Chris Chibnall, hopefully we thought, doing what he does best. And I've seen, reviews across the board on this one. Some people have loved it. Some people, want to crush it into the ground. But all in all, the one thing I have heard, and we've talked about this multiple times, Jodie was amazing as the Doctor in this. I have not heard one person, complain about her. And I think Mike Gordon, you even said it. And, that Jodie came into her own as the Doctor this season.
Me, certainly. Despite whatever else went on in these past 6 episodes, I thought she was strong, very strong, stronger than I'd seen her portray the Doctor in all the other seasons that she did. So she's definitely going out strong.
Well, very much so. And I think she felt the most comfortable. I thought she was very, very entertaining this season. And there's been a lot I've loved about her this season and even previous seasons, but I always felt like it was kind of uneven, and I hate to say it, blame the scripts, most of it, but it hasn't been her acting, but she was consistently finding her place as the Doctor in this. What do you guys think?
I think she was fantastic in this.
Absolutely.
And she did have, I think, better dialogue overall, better stories overall. As flawed as this was, I'm not saying that it wasn't flawed, it was. But Jodie really gave it her all. I never once felt like she wasn't the Doctor.
Hmm.
No, definitely agree with that. And that was the kind of the cool thing about it is I thought she was great, and there was even hints of brilliance with some of the companions. I thought Yaz was very yo-yo in this, but I think overall we got what we were hoping to get from Yaz, especially in the first and fifth and sixth episodes with this storyline.
Well, she was good when she was given something to do. That didn't always happen.
No,
But
agreed.
when she came through. And Dan, I thought Dan also made a good companion. I was, to be honest, I was going into this with the attitude of, oh, okay, I had to shoehorn in a white guy. But I ended up liking Dan.
No, it's true. It's very true. It's, I like Dan at parts. There was times it was just like Dan disappeared. And I think that's the poor writing and poor, you know, I guess narrative for the character. I thought the actor was amazing. I liked him. He was very likable as a character. And dare I say it, I like him than some of the other male companions we've had on the series since the new series, came back.
Well, except for Graham.
Of course,
I mean,
he's
Graham's
still
always
Graham.
the epitome.
You'll never get him being more than Graham. Graham is just all, so.
Yeah, also he had some really funny moments though. Like they brought in the really cheesy jokes for him.
Yeah.
The
some of the
dad
things,
jokes.
which was-
Yeah.
yeah, it was great because like when he has the walk, he's just totally like hamming that up. So like I was worried about Dan too when they announced him after New Year's special. But like watching this, I was like, okay, I'm getting kind of like almost old classic vibes from him, the way he was bringing the character in, which was really fun. And then also all the dad jokes were great. So
I knew nothing about the actor before he was announced, and I wasn't real sure. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to understand his accent, and I really liked him. And he was an interesting character when he was being used.
No, exactly. And, there was parts of the storylines where I felt like he completely disappeared for,
Yeah.
And there was other times it felt like he almost was too knowledgeable about stuff. Like he, wasn't a fish out of water type thing because he was brand new with it. And, and then also his ties with Canonista and everything. So it was interesting.
Speaking of knowledgeable, if I can ask this now,
Of course.
how did Vinder know what a TARDIS was?
They never resolved that.
They never resolved that.
Yeah.
And also, his wife knew what Gallifreyans were, and
Yeah.
so there was just some really weird things, and that led into a lot of people thinking that they were the Doctor's parents, but that just wouldn't have.
Thank God that didn't happen.
Yeah.
That didn't happen yet.
Yeah.
Don't burst my bubble.
don't speak it into the universe, please.
Exactly.
Let's not manifest that.
Yeah, that's the part I get worried about is, let's not get that back in the specials or anything. But truthfully, and I liked Vinder and what was her name again?
Belle.
Bill.
Belle.
Well,
Yeah, I like them, but they could have done the season without them. They didn't add
Yeah.
anything to it. The same thing with big old Snake Boy.
And in some episodes, they almost took away.
Yeah, no, agreed.
The coolest thing, at least in this family with Belle, is that the actress was adopted from China, and all three of my girls are adopted from China, so they're going, oh, cool.
Hmm.
That's very cool. So that must have hit home for you guys a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome. And
No,
I like the actors, but they they really didn't add anything to it.
Well, I mean, this was, I think we've said it a couple times, but it bears repeating now that we're talking about the entire season. This is the best of Chibnall. It's the worst of Chibnall, right? Now, I had complaints about him for his past 3 seasons because I didn't think he was able to juggle 3 companions with the Doctor on a regular basis throughout all the other seasons. And now he gives us like in the first episode, I think he's like, oh, you know what? You thought it was weird that I had 3. I'm gonna introduce like 18 more characters.
Storylines going on in an hour.
so I was like, wow, I mean, I know a lot of people were complaining that they had trouble keeping up with, I mean, it was just moving from character to character. Some of the characters worked for me, some of them didn't. But yeah, I think especially if it's true that this was supposed to be originally be 8 and you had to trim it down to 6, I think we could have definitely lost some characters, but maybe at that point the casting had already been done. They'd already signed the deal, so they had to use them. I don't know. But yeah, it did seem like once again he had trouble juggling all those characters, and some of them that I thought started off interesting, like Claire, just
went
didn't.
nowhere.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping they're going to bring her back somehow.
I
'Cause-
doubt it.
I doubt it.
Yeah, okay. I'm
But
hoping.
who
I'm
knows?
hoping. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's all Big Finish.
Well,
But I
not
mean-
even Big Finish. You have 3 specials, and you need to see how she knew the Doctor and Yaz in the first episode. She ran into them before. She said she knew them, and so, but you haven't met me yet. That's in your future. And it's like, what? And we had said earlier in a previous episode that it might have been because the angel was projecting something that into her head, but I don't buy that. I think there's, I'm hoping Chibnall has something more to do with that.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath
Yeah,
for that because
yeah.
I mean it's one of his known weaknesses as a writer, bringing in too many characters, width rather than depth. Maybe let have fewer characters and let them breathe, get to know them, explore them, and get to know their life stories rather than
Well,
just
exactly.
every time you get you don't know where you want to go, you just bring in another character. I mean that doesn't serve him or us well.
No. Well, we actually got a comment over on the Facebook group, and it was
people are watching.
They are. We actually have a few people
Howdy,
watching.
watchers.
And so wave, hi. And so Felicity is actually watching. Hey, Felicity.
Howdy.
She actually disagrees about the Great Serpent. She thought he was a better villain than Swarm and Azure. And actually, in a lot of ways, she was.
Well, I'll agree he was a better actor. I mean, the guy playing the Great Serpent was good. I
Yeah.
liked him.
Oh, very much so. But I liked the actors they had, playing Swarm and Azure. And they actually had 2 actors playing Swarm because he regenerated. Not that they explained how he regenerated or anything, but, it was just real interesting to see about it. And nothing about the story about how she was stranded on Earth looking human and
Yeah, that was weird.
yeah, and up in the Arctic Circle or whatever with that other guy, and it was just weird.
I think
No.
I think he was making known that, and throwing a lot of stuff certainly at the beginning, like everything that you thought that was maybe singular to Gallifreyans is not so much. There are other beings, maybe related to Gallifreyans. We don't know. I mean, it depends on how far you really want to take it. But there are others that can use the sort of fob watch technology. There's some that know what a TARDIS is. There's some others that can regenerate. Like there seem to be like something on his plate, like kind of hinting that there was something else that he was trying to say. Maybe he still will. But yeah, I that's what I think we were led to believe in the beginning, that there was going to be a closer link to all these characters.
Oh, very much
Turns
so.
out there, like, especially when they were talking about division.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, Matt Sweatman's also watching. Hey, Matt.
Howdy, Matt.
He said unanswered questions were, of course, Bell and Vinder, and poorly answered questions was Claire's connection with the Doctor. And I agree with that. And, it's kind of just how we were saying right now that, Chibnall had a great start and everything. A few of us actually said in the very first episode of the season, it was like he almost crammed too much in that episode. And I don't know if that was because he had to, because of cutting down between, from 6 episodes to 8, from 8.
From 8 to
Or-
6. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting to see what, was it, they threw so much at us and so many questions and so many things. It's just like boom, 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 boom. And I don't know if it really even paid out, even in the end. So,
No, the answer is no.
wow.
I mean, really, even if you thought it was a fun ride, I think it's pretty clear that one thing that he was, I don't know if he was told to do this or whatever, but it was pretty much like, this is it. This is the end. The timeless child thing has to go away. Bury it. Do whatever you have to.
Literally.
They literally buried it in
and-
the center of the TARDIS.
We'll give you 6 episodes, and you've got 3 specials, but really those are going to be more standalone things. And you've got 3 specials to really just kind of wrap this up before, the handoff. So I think, nothing, I don't expect anything that was introduced here is going to go any further than what we've seen in this.
Well, I think we're going to get some answers. I think they're going to have to, because the TARDIS is falling apart more than normal, and that's already carrying over into the New Year's special because it's right on the poster. The TARDIS is cracking.
The scenes that they showed or whatever didn't seem to imply anything, but yes, the poster did show the cracks in the TARDIS, so that maybe what's going on with the TARDIS will be resolved then. Who knows, right? We don't know. But
who knows?
But yeah. That's one thing that was addressed in the first 2 episodes of the Flux, but then not addressed again at all.
Well, exactly. And actually, Lillian Robin actually posted on our Facebook group, it's like, how much of the universe is left for stories anyway after the Flux destroyed
They
everything?
didn't resolve that at all.
Yeah.
The universe was still destroyed. At
Exactly.
The end.
And that's the thing. It was destroyed. And, there's nothing, all those races and people are gone. Unless there's a big reset button or a doctor can unflux the universe somehow, those people are gone. How are they going to do this?
Let's put this into perspective. They literally said, "Oh, half our planet and a quarter of our moon is still here. Yet we're breathing air and we're walking." So I'm just saying,
because Doctor
they're
Who.
very wibbly wobbly with some of their explanations.
No, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And all these people were destroyed by the Sontarans, and it's just like, this is just poor.
Well, the
thinking.
Daleks get destroyed, and then they're back in the New Year's
Yeah, they're
special.
You're in the next
Well,
story.
at one point she does say. At one point she says, if the universe can be compressed, which is what the Flux is doing, then what Division is doing with the Flux, then it can be uncompressed. I got a feeling that there's supposed to be a scene at the end where she uncompresses the universe and everything is sort of back to the way it was. I don't know that that's true, if we'll see that in this New Year's special or not, but I think that implication is there. So, everything wasn't destroyed, it was compressed.
Well, exactly. And, maybe that leads into the Doctor's regeneration in the fall special, is she does something to restore the universe, and it costs her life.
Oh, she sacrifices herself.
I think
Exactly.
I think that's already happened.
Yeah.
I think because the way that the way that the season ends, the way that the Flux ends, and they're like, let's go on adventure. I don't think that they don't say like, hey, let's go fix the universe or whatever. They act like it's already done.
Yeah.
So I get the feeling that it's already done. It's not going to be addressed in the specials, that she uncompressed the universe. Everything's fine now.
Well, time restored it. Is that it? That, you know,
Sure.
when time was, you know, basically took out Swarm and Asher just like that, and then boom, it was not even funny and everything. That, you know, how quickly they were gone, and then your time is coming, Doctor, and this time you will die. And it's just like, oh God, we've heard that a zillion times.
That just all I could think of was the Ood talking to David Tennant.
Your song will end, Doctor.
Yeah.
Debbie over in the group actually said each season leaves more and more open ends for characters, and it's true. It's just the characters just don't finish. There's nothing, you know, they just introduce all these characters unless you're poor Professor Jericho, who did have a proper ending.
I was gonna say I think Jericho's pretty much finished.
Yeah, which is horrible because he was my favorite new character of the season.
Yeah, well, why can't he be uncompressed if the Flux got him?
Elizabeth Laney wrote, "The universe will regenerate with the Doctor," and then of course Matt Sweatman said the universe was put in a big zip file.
Pretty much.
It's just in one of those like vacuum cleaner compression bags.
Yeah.
Until they decide to open it back up when they find out, you know, they have space for it.
No, definitely. And then of course Drew Meyer's here, and he said, "Is there another passenger with the universe in it?" So it's a good question. And you know,
I suppose we could find out the Doctor puts the universe in a
well, it could be just like the Pertwee era, and they'd just be stuck on Earth again for the rest of the series. It would save a lot on budgets, or you know, CGI.
Or dinosaur hand puppets.
Exactly.
That's that is another big weakness. I mean, we talked about characters, but I think a big weakness, the biggest weakness to me, and all, like, because some of the characters were kind of interesting, even though they didn't really get a lot of you know, deep characterization and stuff to do. But I think one of the biggest weaknesses for me of this is that the goal of Swarm, the stuff about time, passenger, all that stuff just struck me as a bunch of nonsense and just words that made and I like there was no actually like interesting ideas, science behind it. It just seemed like they were just words that he was throwing out there.
Just gibberish.
Time versus space and all this crap. I was just like, I don't, you know, I have to care. If there's going to be a story with you know, with characters that I am invested in, I need to care about what's happening. And you know, you can't just say, oh, the universe is being destroyed, so you know we need to save it. That's, especially in Doctor Who, that's not enough because that's happened like a billion times
all the time.
You have to come up with a concept and then like really just like explore it. And he just threw out words, all the stuff about the tunnels and everything. It just gives you a headache when you start thinking.
And it's all very disconnected. I mean, it's interesting that he made such a big deal of saying this is going to be one big story, and yet it's not. The story doesn't go anywhere. It just goes off on all these tangents. And so I'm not sure you did have one big story. You had a bunch of little stories that sort of every once in a while bumped into each other.
They took a dart and threw it at a dartboard, and that's how they figured out their organization for each episode.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like we're gonna have this really cool angel story, but we're gonna take away from it at points and talk to these other two characters who are searching for each other, but then we're gonna throw you back into that story. When really we should have just had the story and not taken you away from it.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, I got a feeling the angel story was written by one writer.
And
the other parts were written by Christian.
That's one of my biggest complaints for some of these episodes, especially that episode. They shouldn't have just taken you out of it so much, because they were getting a little scary. They were getting like, you know, that spookiness about it, and then boom, you're thrown out of it.
Well,
Whereas,
for me, the angels actually got scary again. This was, because the last time we really saw the angels was what, the Angels in Manhattan or whatever, the last one with Rory and Amy,
Yeah.
and that they were ridiculous in that one. And I
I
really
don't know if it was
think
the
that.
Statue of Liberty again.
Statue of
Oh,
Liberty,
exactly.
ridiculous. What?
I know, but they this time out, they this is as scary as I felt they were in Blink, and it was awesome, and I thought they were a true threat, and the cliffhanger ending on that with the Doctor becoming an angel was just perfect.
I think
That
it was the
was
highlight for me
oh
as far
yeah,
as all the cliffhangers. Yeah.
And it was also like just the angel talking through Claire too. So it's just creepy. Like
Mhm.
that they'll just hide in your brain and chill out there for a little while.
I was
Like
bo-
that's really creepy.
I was bothered by the fact that we once again changed the rules of the angels, and now if you're touched twice, you're
mhm,
you're destroyed.
exactly. Well,
I don't know if that was that's the thing. I don't know if these are set rules or if there are certain ones that are working for division and some that are not.
But also that
Again,
area was breaking down
Guidelines.
too. So you don't know if that's a result of
that
the
they
area
couldn't
they're in. Like
they
Yeah, I
couldn't go
wouldn't
further
Yeah.
back
put
or
much faith in
something
that.
because it was quantum
Yeah,
locked
because there
or
was nowhere
something.
for them to go.
Exactly. And that's partly what I was thinking because, technically Rory got hit twice by them, if you think about it.
Mhm.
Because, in Angels in Manhattan, he first went back in time. That's why the Doctor and Rory had to go, Doctor and Amy had to go to that hotel to rescue Rory back. And then he was touched again at the graveyard. And
Okay.
then Amy got hit, so he had got hit twice. And everything about the angels, oh, you can't go, the Doctor can't go back and do that, it's BS. The Doctor can go back and rescue the people if he or she really wanted to.
It depends on what the plot requires.
Yeah, then I'm okay with that because if the doctor can always go back, well, then there's no story because the doctor can always go back. There's
and
no
they did
Exactly.
the one
consequences.
different thing. They had both times basically talking to each other at the same time. So they did have different aspects that they haven't shown us before.
Yeah, no, that's true. Felicity put, to me, the biggest lost opportunity was not linking the Whipping Angels to Maury. Both were quantum locked. So I could see that.
Yeah,
I-
actually, that
Yeah.
was a missed opportunity.
Yeah. Gee, really? By Chibnall?
I
Oh,
mean, one of the million.
yeah.
But yeah,
I think also in addition to making the Weeping Angel scary again, I think he did a really good job with the Centaurans.
Yes.
They didn't
Yes.
seem as funny and comical and muppety as they have in the past. They seem like a real threat. I don't know if I would, put them among the big three
No.
like they seem to at the end of this, but I certainly think, especially in that first episode where they're at, it goes back in time. That's probably like my one of my favorite episodes of the Flux as well, because that's almost a standalone as well.
Exactly.
I love the callback to the first Sarah Jane story with the one Centauran general, the one that's in my picture here, saying referencing Lynx having
Right.
claimed the Earth for Centaur.
Mm-hmm.
No, exactly. And that's pretty awesome that, they tied it. They actually made Santarans a threat, but, you guys laughed at me last time when I said, they were up there with the Daleks and the Cybermen. So I'm not going to bring that up again.
Well,
So,
I would say, I like I said, I'm not sure I'd go that far, but they were still pretty good.
they were certainly more threatening than they had been in a long time.
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
except for if you're a Rutan,
That was a pretty funny reference.
That was
Yeah,
awesome.
there were still some times where they were used comically, but it had an edge to it.
I mean, walks take them down. Come on.
Yeah. Matt Swetman wants to know,
You could bribe them
actually,
with chocolate.
Mike Gordon, who would join the Daleks and the Cybermen in Mike Gordon's big three?
Big three. Oh, if you're talking about opponents just in general, you have to put the master there. So, but
Well,
if you're talking about like races,
races.
then
The
I don't
master's
know.
a
I'd have to
force on
think
his
about.
own. Yeah.
True that. But I don't know. I'd have to think about that one.
Okay. Because you put them like in the top 10, but you wouldn't put them up there with.
I wouldn't put Centaurans at the third spot, but then again, I'm having a hard time like I said, I'm having a hard time finding a spot that that would go above them. So
What, the
maybe
What
farting
about the
aliens
Weeping
are up
Angels? Would
there?
you put
I was
them
gonna
that
say
high?
maybe the Weeping Angels would go before them. Yeah, definitely the Weeping Angels would go before that.
Okay. Okay, but see, I don't see the Weeping Angels as a force that invades planets and takes over and kill, races and stuff like that. And where the Sontarans are an army like the Cybermen and the Daleks trying to get universal domination.
I mean, but which is scarier? A
I'm not
race
sa-
that
I'm
plays
not
with
sa-
their food or the Sontarans?
Wait. So are you saying specifically then races that are interested in universe domination? That's what you're
Bingo.
saying. Like
Yes.
so exclude like everything else.
Right.
Well,
Well,
then if
yeah.
you're excluding everything else and having that as your only criteria, then yes, then maybe the Centaurans would be
Okay. That's what we wanted to hear. I have that on tape now. I'll keep on playing it over and
third.
over.
But I think it should be more open than that.
No, exactly. I think, well, if you want to go top Doctor Who villains, yeah. No, the Sontarans are probably in the top 10, but not up there.
I think this puts the Centaurans higher.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Ramona actually said she's thinking the Vashanarada or the Silence more than the Sontarans.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
I mean, it's subject to like, look, there's no wrong right
There's no,
answers.
it's Doctor
Subject to-
Who. Come
it's
on.
like,
Yeah.
it's what everybody thinks, I mean, some races work than others,
Well,
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, the important thing is the Sontarans did become more menacing again.
Yes.
Yes,
Which is awesome.
exactly.
Exactly. And at least they weren't all Dan Starkey, too. So it was,
Although you could hear his voice in there.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
he
yes.
was there.
Oh, he was there.
Oh yeah.
Just not every single one of them. So
My oldest daughter was watching this morning, watching this whole thing through, and she was going, "Why are the Sontarans licking their lips all the time?" I said, "Don't you remember the old days with Lynx in particular? He was doing that. It's just another reference. I like the redesign back to the older look."
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting how along with what was done a few years ago with the Cybermen, putting them sort of back to their original look or whatever? Isn't it interesting that they go back and it ends up being creepier?
mhm,
Yeah.
exactly. And you could bribe them with chocolate, which is even better.
Well, I mean, the Cybermen were never as scary when they started getting to look more like robots than like cyborgs. I mean, like if you see human parts or human forms, it's going to be more scary. You get more body horror vibe than if you just see robots.
Well, that's been a big issue with a lot of new Doctor Who too, is they tried to redesign some of the monsters. I mean, like, let's remember Taste the Rainbow Daleks. So that's been a whole thing where they tried the redesigns and they just
Didn't work.
did not work.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. And the physics of having the huge shield around the Earth with all those little spaceships, it's just like,
And it was
no.
still daylight.
I know. Don't even get me started on that one. I looked at it and, Judy said, there's supposed to be spaceships. Why is it daylight? I looked at her and said, because Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there were so many other impossible things going on that didn't even face me.
No, not me either. I mean, that's sort of like look. I mean, that's something that there was a lot in this that kind of reminded me of the Russell T Davies era. Like there was a lot of stuff that like seemed like it belonged in a Sarah Jane Smith adventure episode or something like that, because it was about like the whole race of of dogs that, of dog beings that like are just, their only purpose is to protect humans, like, and there's one being for every human. It's just like, really, like, that's
First of all, I
just,
feel sorry for them.
yeah, me too. Like, I'm like, and this is really the first time they've been called into action, because there was a lot of other times where I thought, well, maybe we need some protection.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
then
you
them
guys mentioned it.
conveniently killing off the whole race. It was just like, oh, they were all sucked into space. And it's just like, oh, really? It was just
Well,
really badly
well,
done.
in that case, like, that wasn't, yeah, I mean, they were killed. And
Yeah.
that was, trying to make the Centaurans a little bit more threatening. And I guess I can, at least they weren't just like, victims of the flux. So my understanding is that if the universe is uncompressed, they will not return.
Yeah, but he doesn't know how to hit a dramatic moment. He
No.
made that like a throwaway line.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a devastating thing
No,
for Carvanista to
not a
hear.
throw. I mean,
Complete
Mary,
genocide
to be
of a race.
fair,
Right.
Mary, to be fair, he tried to have a moment, but it
Casual
seemed just
conversation.
ridiculous because, you get the dog howling, and it's just, he wanted to go for that
that was
Klingon,
bad.
that call to honor vibe that, Star Trek had, that just didn't work here.
No. And then, you had, the doctor being completely insensitive again to, like she was with Graham. We talked about that on the episodes. It was just, I was just like, the doctor could be a little more sympathetic to, all these different, when somebody, has, deep down problems and everything like that. And she's like, oh, okay, and it's just like, that was kind of not appropriate.
Oh,
I
you
guess.
mean like how the fugitive doctor didn't even flinch when that passenger was killed and killed like millions and millions and millions of beings?
Yeah.
and the,
Yeah.
and
It's
the
like, oh,
passenger
well.
doctor and the fugitive doctor was just like, yeah, whatever.
Oh yeah. Well, exactly. I loved seeing the fugitive doctor again, but I want more of that or more
Yeah,
detail.
absolutely.
Yeah, she also was a character that went nowhere.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Actors is great. The idea is maybe okay, but it just, every time they bring her on, it just adds to a bunch of questions that will never be resolved.
Well,
I
exactly.
just hope that part of me hopes that she's the next doctor.
I
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Nope. No, I mean, if there was anybody who was wondering about the timeless child and whether or not it was just a delusion of the master that he was trying to, fake or fool the doctor or anything like that, Chibnall made it pretty clear that no, it's a real, this whole timeless child thing is a real thing. Now we've met the doctor's adoptive mom, and I talk about a beat that didn't really work. I mean, killing her didn't really muster any sort of emotion to me whatsoever.
Well, she didn't even seem to care herself.
It's
know?
true.
Oh, she's just kind of frozen there.
No, and that's the interesting thing about it because, there was just so many things where the doctor was just not proper. Sorry about the dogs barking.
That's, well,
The joy of
they
doing
deserve
this
to have
live.
their opinion
They're upset
heard.
too.
They're
all
upset
fucked
about
up.
it too.
They heard about a whole race of dogs dying and they're
They're howling.
chiming in.
No, and that's the problem with it. It's just interesting with the, the different races dying and, there's just like, there could have been like some more tender moments, but it wasn't there. It was just really, really sad.
More emotional moments, more time to breathe. I mean, when you have that many characters and you're racing around from one thing to another, then you don't have time to really feel much of anything. Because when you're getting close to an emotional moment, well, it just skews to something else.
And that's the fault of the writing.
Yes.
They need if they want to have that emotional impact, they need to focus on it and not jump around so much. And Doctor Who isn't the only science fiction show at the moment that has that issue, which I don't know if it's like a trend to just have 4 or 5 storylines going on in the same episode that's only an hour long. But Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
that
and
was a large
that's part
downfall.
of the thing with it was, all these different storylines. And we talked about the Serpent King, and he was just, I don't think he needed to be in this story at all and everything.
Well, I liked the introduction with him when we saw Vinder's past. I
Right.
thought
And I
that
think he
was
should
that
have stayed there.
he was used very well there. But that's where I would just like draw
Yeah.
the line. No need
The
to.
whole thing
Like,
with him getting involved with Unit and
yeah,
pretty much destroying all the different heads
working
of
for the
Unit.
Centaurians just didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, there
That
wasn't
didn't
even
make
any
sense.
reason for Unit to be there.
No, not at all.
I mean, as
And-
much fun as I had seeing Unit,
Oh, and I loved seeing
didn't
Kate
really
Stewart.
serve us
Kate
so-
Stewart was awesome.
I
And she
loved
did-
her too,
Yeah.
but
And
she didn't do anything to add to the story.
no, exactly.
Not really.
But the one thing it did do was explain, when the Doctor a couple seasons back and they found out there's no more Unit, this explains why Unit was dismantled. He'd basically dismantled it.
Doesn't really explain it.
No, but I'm trying to be somewhat positive here, Mikey. Trying.
I mean, I know we're picking this apart, but I still feel like this, and I don't know what this says about me or not, that this was the best Chris Chibnall season.
It is.
Yes.
Because I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. It kept me watching all the way through,
Mhm.
despite its many, many flaws. I mean, I couldn't take my eyes off Jodie, but even beyond Jodie, I mean, it was entertaining.
It was.
Well,
It's-
but Mary, let me ask you this real quick though. Now that we've seen the end of it, that's leading towards the end. Now that we've seen the end, how much are you like now? Like, oh, I need to rewatch all of this again.
Oh, I would watch it again.
Yeah,
I would watch this
I would
season
do watch
again.
this season again in a
Yeah.
I've
heartbeat.
watched it twice.
I've watched it, and I'll own it on DVD or Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And I'm not
For my
really sure I
collection.
can say that about his first two seasons.
Oh, I definitely can't say that about his.
It's interesting. I realized when I was going through my collection, looking at stuff, I don't have Jodie's first season yet. Actually,
Neither do I.
it's just like, oh, I thought I did, but nope. And I have the holiday specials, but I don't have her first season. I was just like, wow, okay. Maybe
The
I'll
thing
fi-
the thing that I'm always thinking about, that all through the Chibnall era, I'm always thinking about is Chris Chibnall is the one who way back when was complaining about Pip and Jane Baker as being bad writers. And in some ways, he's worse.
Well, I'm not sure
Yeah.
I'd say he's worse, but he's
Whoa, I don't know if I'd go that far.
Wow, wow. Carol Beryl actually posted up on the group, and she said, "Do the folks who write these think action is more important than character development?"
yes, they do.
Yes.
Yes,
Obviously.
the answer there is yes.
Either
And
that
by-
or the editors do.
Yeah.
And by action, we mean like moving everything forward. That doesn't mean that it's like thrilling to watch sometimes, but things move forward because they need to, not because it makes sense for them to. Because Chibnall has, I think, he's like, well, the story has to go here, so he's forcing everything to happen rather than just letting it happen, and it just feel like a lot of situations feel forced.
But it also it really makes me want to know what they actually film versus what we see.
Well, that's true.
Mm.
Yeah.
That is actually
Because that's a very, like, what they actually film in the script is very different than what we end up seeing in editing and everything. So
That's
Yep.
true.
No, agreed. Actually, Joe Heath just popped up, and he said Pip and Jane Baker are at least fun compared to Chibnall.
Yeah.
Well, I did.
Well,
I found this
I'm-
season
I'm
fun.
not
I
yeah.
will say that for the most part.
There was some fun here. I mean, I like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
with Mary as well. I mean, I think, I don't know how quick I will to be rewatching this, but I mean, I did have fun while I was watching it. And there are a lot of little fun scenes. I mean, I mentioned when we were talking about the episodes, I like the Yaz gang. I'd like to see them do a bunch of big finishes. I would love
They
to
have a couple
see
Yeah.
years. I would, anything to get Jericho back would be awesome.
Please.
Jericho and Dan and Yaz
I
having
think would be
adventures
great.
in the past would be very, very fun.
you
I
get
like
all the
that
dad
aspect of
jokes
it.
on Big Finish. It'd be great.
Yeah.
And I'd even like to see, Vinder and Bell and and their
Cardenista.
and their
Yeah.
dog
Cardenista.
and their pet dog.
Yes. It's interesting. Felicity just posted, said, having just revisited Trial of a Time Lord with the Watchathon of Rassilon, Pip and Jane Baker are still worse. Thank you, Felicity.
Thank you, Felicity, for backing us up
Yes, but
and for giving us yet another reason for not,
to
not watching
avoid Trial of a Time
Lord.
Lord.
but
Yes.
actually, both Matt Sweatman and Carol Beryl actually said enjoyed the Flux and definitely will watch all of Jodie's run just to watch it all again to see how it evolved and everything. And,
Now, I did love Jodie from the beginning. I
oh,
will say that.
Jodie
And
has
there are
been awesome.
isolated episodes in the other seasons that I do like.
Mhm.
You know, and I don't think any of this mess was ever Jodie's fault.
No.
I like Jodie so much that I love the idea of there being 3 of her.
Oh, that
because,
was
like,
brilliant.
So
That was
like now,
so we got
every
a
time they cut
multi-doctor
away-
story for the
Yeah,
final
that
episode.
part was good.
3 doctors.
every time
Yes.
every time they cut away, we still got the doctor, which was great. It's like, why didn't you like split her up like like 3 episodes ago so we could have 3 of her all the time?
And that it was just that was brilliant. I loved that, and it was actually awesome. And I loved when she saw herself and was like, "Hi, you're kind of cute." It's like, yeah. It was just like, it's like, oh, that's just awesome. We had brought this up last week, and originally for the storyline, Captain Jack was supposed to be part of this also. And could you? That's the question. What would have changed with that and everything, because they had to rewrite the story to write him out after the whole thing about him exposing himself and everything.
Look, it just would have been one more character that didn't really have a lot to do, that would
Yeah.
seem extraneous.
Yeah, he would have just been shoehorned
yeah,
in anyway.
Yeah. Maybe he was supposed to be there with Torchwood instead of Unit. Who knows? Like, I doubt we'll ever know. It would be interesting to see the original 8-page. I don't know if it got to a script format, but outline. But as it is, you just have to review what you see and what was produced, and who knows? I mean, I feel kind of bad because I don't know when the next time we'll see Captain Jack will be ever. Probably we will, but it's going to be a while.
Mhm. Like, it's funny though, because I love Berriman. I think he's awesome. He's a little risque. He's a little crazy, but would I want to see him back as Captain Jack again? Yes, of course.
Yes.
And again, we also don't know what those 2 episodes that they cut were going to be as well.
That's true. That's very true. So,
it says something that they had to come out with a YouTube video to explain the story after the story was done.
Yeah. Chibnall recorded a 15-minute thing where he talked about, I guess, he tried to explain it. I haven't watched that yet. I don't know if anybody has, but
I have.
From what I understand, it didn't help.
No, I've heard
Oh, it did.
from multiple. I
Not
watched
enlighten
it.
you.
I watched it, and it didn't help the story at
No.
all. And it actually, to me, made
Well, you
all of
failed
Flux.
as a writer if you
Yeah,
have
well,
to explain a story
exactly.
afterwards.
If you have to explain your story to the average person, there's something wrong with what you wrote, basically. And that's what made it kind of pathetic to me.
But I mean, that is another weakness of Chibnall's, is there's a lot of telling and not showing, rather than developing the plot line, developing the characters, weaving them around each other, making them serve each other. He just has a lot of exposition where, the doctor stands there and somebody tells her what's going on instead of us watching the doctor, solve things herself and lead up to that.
Not just exposition, but exposition that makes just no sense.
No sense at all. It doesn't even help with exposition.
If you're gonna give us exposition, at least make it make some sense.
No, Joe Heath actually just posted about that video that Chibnall posted. He says there's parts of it that he even seems confused by it in the video. He says, I think about the character motivation a couple times. How does he not know? He's the one creating these characters.
Yeah.
Well, that explains a lot, actually, if he doesn't know.
Yeah, or Matt Sweatman wrote, it's like having to explain a joke after you've told it.
Yeah, exactly.
And, that's just says it right there. And wow. And, folks, I really hate making it sound negative. There's a lot we did like about this
Yes.
season. There was a lot to like about this season. Did I like the 6-part one story? Yes. I loved the idea. It brought me back to the Tom Baker era when I first started watching Doctor Who, where you actually had the cliffhangers at the end of the episodes. We used to, rave about Moffat when he was doing the season of two-parters with
Yeah.
Capaldi, and how we loved, the cliffhangers on those. And this, I think, there really wasn't any cliffhanger that I didn't like on this one. Even when Swarm was going to, reaching down to touch the Doctor at the end of the episode of episode 5, and then the very first scene in episode 6, whoop! I missed it. You missed me. You got to come and get me. It's like, oh, geez.
Yeah, the resolution of the cliffhangers was not nearly as good as the cliffhangers.
Yeah.
I did love the angel has the TARDIS. That was a great.
Oh, that was
reference.
awesome.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah, that was
flashback
good.
right back to Blank right there.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was genius. And I
Again,
love,
there was the resolution of it was just like, okay, yeah, so
Yeah.
That whole episode though had so many great throwbacks, all the way down to them looking at her drawings, and everybody watched that was like, that's drawing of Angel. Oh no.
Right.
Oh, look at it.
Burn it.
exactly. And it's just like, okay, this is going to get ugly. But the Angels was awesome. The Angels were just awesome.
That was the best episode of the whole series.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think for me, the second one was the Santarin episode. I thought that
Yeah.
was it wasn't a close runner-up, but it was a runner-up. And then I thought, I liked 5 because it had the Yaz gang in it, as Mike called it. But then
Hashtag Yaz gang.
exactly, copyright Mike Gordon, 2021.
Did that guru on the mountain remind you though of the that one character in one of the Indiana Jones movies who does the used car salesman thing with the car? He's also in I don't remember which movie it was, but the whole shifting out of character into the funny business was just
Mhm. There was a bit of that. I know. I wish we didn't get that. And I agree with what Matt Sweatman just wrote. He said, I wish we could get a year of RTD and Jodie to see how she would do under a new showrunner.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would have loved to have seen her with a different showrunner.
I would love to see Yaz and Jodie and the Doctor.
Well, and there's a ton of fan fiction that's going to be coming out now with, Yaz and,
Please, it's been coming out for years.
yeah. And, from the very first scene in the first episode where they land on the bed, and it's like, oh, what's there a bed doing in the TARDIS, in the engine room? It's like, uh-huh. And it literally, when Yaz saw the Doctor in the final episode, I almost felt like Yaz was going to kiss the Doctor. And, and I would have been okay with it. So what, It's, you could tell Yaz has feelings for the Doctor. It's obvious. And so be it. It's 2 women. Who cares? And it's the same thing as if it was Captain Jack gave a nice smooch to Graham, and nobody bitched about that. So, I wouldn't think of anything bad about it. So,
I would, because there's a horrible uneven power dynamic there, but it has nothing to do with them being 2 women.
no.
It has to do with them being this all-powerful being and a human.
Yeah, it's like for Matt Sweatman, positives, the Angels, the Santarans, and the multiple Jodies. Agreed. And add Professor Jericho to that list. Were the big positives out of this. And the cliffhangers.
The 2 episodes that we've all kind of agreed were the best was a historical episode and a horror episode, which Doctor Who has always been able to pull off pretty well.
Yes.
Yeah,
Very
that's
much so.
true.
Said,
Yep, agreed. I just think this was real interesting to see, and I've had fun with it, and I wish the other seasons were this fun, And, at the end, there wasn't any episode I walked away from it and was pissed. Not like Cyber Brigadier, but we're not,
Oh, boy.
Wow.
but, but
goes right for the groin punch.
of course I do. I never said I fight fair, Mike Gordon. I never said I fight fair.
I know, but it's like, damn. It's like, if that's your measuring stick, ooh, goodness.
Well, exactly. But truthfully,
That's a little hard.
I loved seeing, you got the hint that Cardenista and the fugitive doctor, they were companions with each other, the doctor and companion. And I thought it was lame. Oh, I have a thing in my brain that if I say anything about it, it'll go off. And it's like, and Division is still out there. Division has its fingers in everything, supposedly. So are they going to write that off? Is
Yeah,
that
they
Is
didn't
going?
it still
resolve
out there?
that.
We don't.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't even
What is
really
the
know what it was.
What is the difference between Division and the Celestial Intervention Agency?
Well, maybe that's because Doctor Who, my friend.
Are they both poorly written concepts? I don't know.
I
Are they
mean-
like, is that the difference? Like, I don't get any more sense of what Division is now than what an awful name too.
Division?
Just sounds so
Not
generic.
not my division.
Yeah. It's a joy. It's a joy
Hashtag
division.
not my division.
Yeah.
Not my division.
No, definitely not. And
Not
that's
my bag of dollars.
that whole space station is still there in the middle of the universes, and there's an Ood still
Now
there.
Division is being controlled by an Ood.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Oy.
The Ood have taken over.
Well, the Oods have been behind a lot of things in New Who.
Yeah. They seem like they're like, subservient, like quiet beings, but man,
They tend to
it's
show
going to
up.
come out that they're like really the masterminds. They're like the third. They're like the third biggest.
They're the third.
There, that's who it is. It's the Ood.
There you go.
There you go.
They're the puppet masters.
Okay, Joe Heath just wrote, the thing I feel most mixed about is that on one hand, I'm glad that Vinder and Bell didn't turn out to be the Doctor's parents, but on the other hand, that would have been more interesting than the next to nothing thing that they wound up doing. Good point. Touche.
But maybe they really are. We don't know.
We don't know. She's still pregnant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't know. And Jerry Chandler just popped in and said the difference is that how they spelled. It's the ood, not the odd. Always. So it's interesting. I feel like we've been beating up on this thing really badly tonight, and we've had fun with it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Doctor Who is still fun to watch, and I'm glad we got to watch it. And good Doctor Who is great. Bad Doctor Who is bad, but it's still better than a lot of other things out there. So, and I'm glad we still have it. And, in 2 weeks, we're going to have a holiday special. And then we're going to have another one in, I think, April, they said,
Yeah.
is
Easter
when they're
and
going
Easter.
an Easter special. I don't know. I don't celebrate those holidays. And, and then also, and then we have one, I think it's definitely scheduled. I think they said October 18th.
Yeah.
Because that's the
It's
100th
October.
anniversary of the BBC.
Hmm.
So I think that's when we're getting Jodie's regeneration. And there are pictures of her floating around already, sitting with her hands glowing. So it's just like,
Of course there are.
and it's like, oh, great. Great.
I was kind of hoping they'd wait until the next anniversary for the regeneration, but I guess not.
No, exactly. So they're going to have a brand new doctor because RTD has already said there is going to be, an anniversary special. So
Better be.
And I just always thought that's, great thing about it is there's always going to be new Doctor Who, and we're probably going to get an announcement fairly soon, I would almost expect. Probably, I would say after the first of the year and after the holiday special, I wouldn't be shocked if we get an announcement on who the new Doctor is going to be. But
I
wouldn't
want
it
them
be
to-
wouldn't it be awesome if they just surprised everybody?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah. And didn't make the announcement. It's Daniel Radcliffe. Oh my God, he's the Doctor. No. No, I wouldn't even want that for anybody. Sorry.
No, 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 no. Not Daniel Radcliffe. It's Rupert Grint.
Oh no, no.
Right.
At least it's Ginger finally.
Finally, Ginger. Well, if you were gonna have a ginger doctor, that would be the ginger doctor.
The ultimate.
The ultimate. All right. Let's go ahead and give our ratings, but before we do, let's read through what the folks who were on other episodes did. And from episode 1 of Flux, we had Charles and Veronica from Earth Station Trek. Charles gave it a 4.5 TARDISes, because 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. He really liked it. Veronica, though, gave it a 3 for the whole series. Mark McCrae, who was in the second one with Felicity, Mark gave it a 4, and so did Felicity. And then we had Alan Seiler and Mike Faulkner. Alan Seiler gave it a 2, and he's not our lowest, folks. He's not our lowest. And I was fully expecting Alan to be the lowest. So Michael Faulkner gave it a 3.5. Thank you, Michael. Rob Levy and Matt Sweatman were in the next episode. Rob gave it a 3, and Matt Sweatman gave it a 3.5. And then in episode 5, we had Anthony Williams and Mark Heffernan. Anthony gave it a 2.5 TARDISes. Mark Heffernan gave it a 1.
Mark
Ooh.
did not like it.
Nope. Wow. All right. And then in our last episode, Ramona gave it a 4. And Shirley, we haven't heard from Shirley, so we'll make one up for her. No, just kidding. I won't do that. She gave it a 12. No. She was actually very critical of the series, so I'll be very curious to hear what she has to say. I definitely want to hear from the folks in the room, and we'll come around to this. Lillian gave the whole thing a 3, and we knew Ramona gave it a 4. So good. If anyone else in the Facebook group wants to give it a rating, we'd love to hear from them. But let's go around now and find out what we thought about it. Kirby, you're going to go first.
I'd say about a 3.5. I mean, it was enjoyable. I was so glad to have new Doctor Who, and I was right there every week watching it just as soon as I could. So it wasn't the worst thing. It wasn't Orphan 55. So,
I can understand you doing that. Okay. Not Orphan 55, 3.5.
yes.
All right, Angela, you're up next.
I think I would give it a 4 because I did enjoy this season. I have a lot of complaints about the organization of the episodes and how the story flowed through them. I kind of felt like they could have, again, they put too many storylines in each episode. I felt like they could have organized them a little better, but I'd still say a 4. And we got an awesome Weeping Angels episode that, again, I still have complaints about.
I think that's totally fair. Very awesome. All right, Mary, what about you?
I think I'm going to go with 3.5. I mean, it was a hot mess, but it was an entertaining mess. And I mean, I think it would have been helped a lot by being pared down and by perhaps having some more diverse writers than just Chibnall working on them, because frankly, the best episode was the one Chibnall didn't write. Sorry, Chris, but wow. But it was entertaining. It and I would go back and watch it again. So I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Awesome. That is awesome. Mr. Mike Gordon.
Well, I mean, I can't. Yeah, I can't. There's a lot to like about it, and it was fun. I can't go as high as a 4. And some of the writing and some of all that was just missed opportunities and a lot of ball dropping. So I would say, like, I could definitely see where the 1s and 2s come into play. But because Jodie is so strong, she gets like a 20.
Oh, she was amazing. You're not getting an argument on me on that one
That's
at
why
all.
I gave it a
And
3.5 and
and
a
so
3.
and so with her 20 and an average for the rest of it, it comes out to be about a 3.5.
Okay. Damn it! I hate when I agree with you guys. Damn it! All the time, because that's what I had written down here was a 3.5. Because literally, for me, the Angel story and Jodie saved the season for me. Because yes, I looked forward to watching it. I loved having new Doctor Who back, and there was there was a highlight in every episode. There wasn't any episodes that I just flat out hated.
Yeah.
And that's, and there was plenty of seasons, the last 2 seasons, that there were episodes we were like, why? Even with Graham in it, we were like, why? And that's the sad, the thing about it. Actually, Matt Sweatman posted and he said, the best way to describe this season was an entertaining hot mess. That's what I'm going to say about this whole season. That's what it was. But, Jodie saved it for me and I loved it. Couple more numbers again. Elizabeth Laney gave it a 4.5. Most of those stars are behind because it actually held my interest. That's cool. It's been a while for a lot of people that people were actually excited about Doctor Who. And this got people excited about it again, which is pretty darn awesome. Let's see who else. Carol, she gave it a 4. She kept her excited. And you know what? That's awesome. I'm glad it kept her excited. I'm glad it kept her interested. And you know what? This is what we like to hear, that there's interest in Doctor Who again, that people are excited about it. Will this interest keep people coming for the specials? I hope so. I really hope so. I want to see great things coming out of it. I would love to see, rolling into the 100th anniversary of BBC and then coming into the return of Russell T Davies. Because, folks, if I have to play some recordings of some of what we talked about Russell T Davies, they weren't all, sunshine and butterflies, folks.
Yeah.
You remember, we did have farting aliens. Just remember that.
Oh yeah, he went to the depths a few times.
Yes, he did.
But I do think he has some standout episodes also.
So it's pretty awesome. And you know what? I definitely would love to, just have more good Doctor Who and fun Doctor Who. And this was fun. That's, it wasn't great. No, but it was fun. And I was excited. And you know what? I'll renew this podcast for another season. What the hell? So you all have jobs. It's good. You heard it first. We're not going to do trial. We're not going to do Trial of the Time Lord for quite some time yet. So we're good. So, but you know what? Definitely would love to hear from folks at home. We definitely would love to hear from you. Write us, of course, feedback@earthstationwho.com. And of course, if you haven't yet, join the ESW Facebook group. We have got a great group of people up there talking all about Doctor Who and having a lot of fun. And speaking of a lot of fun, we are going to be back in 2 weeks, right before the holiday special, folks. We are going to be doing another episode of Doctor Who, and we are talking about Evil of the Daleks. That's right. We're going to the second Doctor era. And this is the episode that introduces Victoria. So I can't wait for that. Good old Screamer herself. So it should be very, very interesting. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Thank you to the folks on Facebook. We've had a great group of people that, I really appreciate it. And Elizabeth just wrote, this podcast was the best part of the season. Thank you.
Aww.
That's really sweet.
Thank you.
Love you.
Again, a low bar.
Yeah, exactly. We're still above Cyber Brigadier, so it's really good. There we go.
That's a very low bar.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. We appreciate it. Thank you everybody for listening tonight. As we like to say, we are part of the ESO network. If you get a chance and want to throw a couple shekels our way, please sign up for the ESO Patreon. We've got some great stuff happening up there. We got a brand new show available to the ESO patrons starting this week, actually. Mike and I are doing a new podcast. That's right. A spinoff of Earth Station 1 called Rants and Raves. That's right. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be coming probably every few weeks or so, whenever we feel like doing it. There's not going to be any set schedule, and half the time we probably won't even know what we're talking about. So check it out. You could become a patron of the ESO Network for as little as $1 a month, and you could just go to patreon.com/ESO Network. And if we don't talk to you guys before the holidays, I hope everyone has a very safe and happy Christmas. And, everyone had a great Hanukkah, great Kwanzaa's coming up. Just celebrate with your friends and family. That's what the season's for. We'll talk to you soon. Love you guys. We'll miss you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. Bye, Facebook. Bye, everybody. Bye. Bye.